morning in Miami and all of South Florida, torrential downpour. But inside Marlins Park, high and dry and ready for baseball. The Marlins and the Diamondbacks, game 3 of a 4-game series. An enormous comeback last night for the Fish in front of a loud and big crowd. A day game here today. Jose Reyes was back in the lineup. Emilio Bonifacio, Hanley Ramirez, that top 3 was dynamite last night. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, Jeff Conine joins us. Tommy Hutton is here. It is a Kids Sunday, but first we addressed last night. Emotionally, it was a big win, obviously, but psychologically, Jeff, a big win.
Yeah, you know, this team has been struggling so badly to score runs and get victories. A couple really hard luck losses on the road. To come back here to the home ballpark and a really nice crowd with the energy they had and walk-off win like that, I think it would give them a lot of momentum going into the rest of the series.
And, Rich, I think it was a good win for Ozzie to see his ball club endure a whole lot. I mean, they had some guys hitting balls hard. There were some great plays by the Diamondbacks, and they hung in there, and they really battled. And I think the other important thing was to see the game won on a base hit. Ozzie stressed that you don't have to hit a home run to win. Hanley got a base hit to drive in the key run.
Before he got the base hit, though, a lot of things happened in that 9th inning. Let's talk about the 9th inning. For Giancarlo Stanton, it wasn't a blast, but it got it started.
It wasn't a blast, but you know what? He has such power. The third baseman's going to play back a little bit more than on a normal hitter, so I think that gave him a little extra time to get to first base.
Yeah, and I think a key to this inning was the hit and run Ozzie put on with Stanton on the move. Bonifacio put the ball in play. That's all you have to do in a hit and run. Get it on the ground, get it in play. He's in scoring position now at second base.
And you can't blame Kirk Gibson, as Emilio Bonifacio trying to fire him up. You can't blame Kirk Gibson. Hanley was on an 0 for 26 and then came to the plate, and that made it even more special.
Well, I was a little hesitant with that call. I thought 0 for 26. He's bound to come out of it sometime, and bang, there he does. You heard him talk about it in the post-game interview. He shortened up his swing, made sure he got his hips open to get that inside fastball and put the barrel on it.
So the Marlins walk-off winners last night. The series dead even, and the Fish have their ace on the mound in Josh Johnson. Our pitching matchup in this ball game, Josh Johnson, Wade Miley. We'll start with J.J. Niner for you. He's been a much different pitcher his last 2 starts from his first 2.
He really has. The first 2 starts, for me, I was looking at the radar gun. You don't really necessarily judge a pitcher by the radar gun, but for Josh coming back off such a long layoff, he's getting stronger and stronger. You see that velocity start to improve later in the game. The last game he was up to 94 late in the game, which is a good sign for me.
Wade Miley, a lefty that throws hard, a youngster.
Yeah, the Marlins will see 2 left-handers in the next 2 games that they've never seen before. So that always poses a couple of little problems, but I also like the J.J. slider in his last game, too.
And we'll see if there's a carryover from that big win last night. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini. Craig?
Guys, great moment last night, as you mentioned. Hanley Ramirez, we got a chance to talk to him right after the big moment, the walk-off hit for the Fish.
It's been tough, you know, for all year. I think we pretty much we're trying too hard. You know, I think we got everything calm down and just, you know, relax and enjoy the game. I mean, when you got a good pitcher like that, good pitcher, you know, they go through a tough inning. I think he knew that early in the game he was struggling a little bit, but he come back and, you know, finishes strong. I think we will lose 7 on the road. I think for our crowd, our home crowd, you know, they deserve this. I think it's a good win for us.
It was the longest hitless streak snapped with a walk-off hit since 1995, when the Phillies' Charlie Hayes snapped an 0 for 31 with a walk-off winner against the Rockies. No doubt that played into the strategy. Hanley was not hot going in. The question now is, that big hit already got the Marlins 1 win. Can it spur them on a couple of more games in this series? We've got baseball coming up. Game 3 of the 4-game set. Johnson and Miley is your matchup, and we'll have it for you on a Kids Sunday from Marlins Park right after this.
first pitch is next. Marlins baseball brought to you by Toyota. Toyota, moving forward. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Josh Johnson, start number 5. Still looking for his first win of the season, though his last 2 starts much better than his first 2 starts. In fact, his last start, he was dynamite against Johan Santana.
Yeah, Rich, he's had a really nice career against the Diamondbacks. 4 career starts against Arizona. 3-1 record, but 27 innings, just 15 hits, 28 strikeouts in his career against the D-backs.
Pinch a penny. First pitch. Willie Bloomquist takes a fastball that rides outside. Bloomquist in the leadoff spot. Gerardo Parra, Justin Upton to follow for Kirk Gibson's Diamondbacks. Bloomquist opened last night with a double, and he swings and fouls it at the plate. We have the pleasure of listening to and watching Jim Joyce behind home plate for this ball game, the veteran umpire, and the Enrico Palazzo of umpires in Major League Baseball.
So for your listening pleasure, there's Jim Joyce.
One of the great, truly great guys in baseball.
And a good umpire.
And a good umpire. One of those umpires you can talk to and you know exactly what's being called.
Wow. Josh Johnson with a heater for a strikeout. Down goes Bloomquist. And JJ opens the game with a strikeout. He struck out 9 Mets his last time out in 6 2/3. You've seen Willie Bloomquist. Gerardo Parra has been a tough out this year. Justin Upton has yet to get going. Jason Kubel had 4 hits in game 1. Miguel Montero's driven in 4 runs in the series. Cody Ransom gets a start at third, while Overbay's at first. Aaron Hill, a lot of power in that 8th spot. And Wade Miley, the lefty, hits 9th. And here is Parra, the center fielder. Chris Young on the disabled list. Parra has played very well defensively. He's made some terrific catches out there. He had an RBI double in the first inning last night, and he pokes that one into left field for a base hit. Marlins defensively, different look from last night.
Yeah, Ozzy's Got a good defense out there. Morrison, Bonifacio, Giancarlo back in the lineup. I think the surprise is that Omar Infante's in there, but feels good. That groin feels all right. John Buck behind the plate. Of course, Omar had that big pinch hit triple last night.
As again watched last night's game, I'm sure, just like everybody else that was here, the 33,000 plus, in amazement watching Anibal Sanchez go from awful to absolutely untouchable, striking out 14 Diamondbacks, and the Marlins coming back to win the ball game 3-2, down almost the entire night 2-0. The pinch hit triple by Infante. He scored on a Reyes RBI. Logan Morrison's home run to tie it, and then the Marlins walking off in the ninth. But none of that's possible if Sanchez doesn't get it in gear and strike out 14. He did not figure in the decision. At the very least, he did not get the loss.
I talked to Sanchez before the game, and he said when Randy St. Clair came out there early on, his fastball was in the upper 80s. And basically what Randy said to him was just throw hard. Go after these guys. Don't try to nibble. Don't try to pick apart the strike zone. And boy, oh boy, did he ever.
Yeah, I saw him in the clubhouse after the game. I'm like, Randy, I don't know what you said to him, but whatever it was, you got him going, because he was lights out after that conversation.
And do you agree, Niner? We said last night, a couple of years ago, Sanchez doesn't get through that game.
Absolutely. You know, he was a nibbler. He was a guy that wanted to make that perfect pitch, and I think since he's found his velocity, and we saw a couple of years ago how he started off at the beginning of the year, 88, 90, 91, and then by the end of the year he's throwing 95 miles an hour.
You talked to some of the Diamondback players last night, and a lot of them were just amazed at how filthy the stuff was from the second inning on. Upton, in last night's ball game, struck out 3 times against Sanchez on an 0-for-3 night.
He and Kubel at one point were 0-for-6 with 6 strikeouts.
Parra's at first. JJ ready. You're trying to keep Parra close. Gerardo Parra does have 6 stolen bases.
Yeah, we talked about it. He's the one guy that you'll see run, steal some bases, has a stolen bag in this series.
Jim Joyce calling that a strike. 1-2. Warren Henry brings you our Fox Tracks today, and that was right on the corner.
Always like to watch a pitcher early on. So far, we've seen a slider for a strike, good fastballs. He dropped a nice curveball in, too, early on for JJ.
Right down the middle. Not sure what Upton was looking for, but it obviously wasn't a fastball. And that's what he got.
Well, he's got this working for him, too.
Pinpoint control. You know, we mentioned before early in JJ starts, I think you look at the radar gun, it's not exactly what he used to be at 95, 96 miles an hour. But when you don't have that extra 3 or 4 miles an hour and you make a mistake, these guys have a much more better tendency to hit those balls hard. Now, beginning of this game, you see the pinpoint control, even though the velocity is not as high as it usually is.
And what's it tell a hitter when a hitter's in the dugout on deck and they look out and they see the pitcher has all 3 of his pitches working?
What am I going to focus on? You know, what am I going to focus on? And it's a lot of times you'll hear about hitters and they'll try to eliminate a pitch. And if someone's not working for a particular pitcher, if he can't get his curveball over for a strike, then I don't have to worry about that pitch. I'm going to look on his fastball.
Of course, if you follow the Marlins, you know the story about JJ's year. His first 2 starts, over 9 2/3 innings, he gave up 9 runs and 21 hits. Randy St. Clair approached him after that second start, said, why did you stop tapping your glove? And Johnson wasn't aware that he had stopped. And so in a side session, he went back to that little glove tap with the ball right before he delivers it. And magically, 2 or 3 more miles an hour on the fastball appeared. And over his next 2 starts, including his last one against the Mets, just 3 runs in 13 2/3 innings.
Yeah, and 12 strikeouts, too.
I was talking to JJ about that little tap and he said that he felt that the first couple starts, if he would have really let it go, he felt that the ball would have just been launched almost to the backstop. He said he couldn't let it go because he just felt off-timed. And that was just his little timing mechanism to keep him back.
Runner goes. Ball down low. Bucks throw on the bag. And Reyes and Parra collide. Reyes, a terrific play just to dig it and try for the tag, but Parra got in there.
This is a great play by Reyes to catch the ball, hang in there. He's got his feet pointed right toward Parra.
Ooh, I don't know about
I'm
that.
not so sure he was safe.
It looked like he blocked Parra's foot. And he may have had that trail leg on the bag as well.
Look at Parra having a little fun with him.
So 7 stolen bases for Gerardo Parra. Parra, one of those players that we've seen over the last 2-3 years just get better and better with the more playing time he gets.
Made a fantastic catch out in center field last night as well.
Ground ball. Infante to his left. Has to wait for Gabby. Flips it there in time. Nicely done. Josh Johnson through the first. Marlins get their first swings when we get back. Where all around here in Miami it is wet, wet, wet. Marlins lineup looks this way. Ozzie staying with the swap of Bonifacio on top with Reyes hitting second. Hanley in the 3 spot. Logan Morrison along with Omar Infante have been the 2 most consistent hitters for the Marlins this year. Giancarlo Stanton looking for his first long ball of the season. Gabby Sanchez hitting 7th. John Buck trying to get it going offensively. And Josh Johnson hits 9th.
There's a look at the 25-year-old Wade Miley, just making his second start. He's been in 4 previous games. First start ever against the Marlins. So the Marlins will see a guy who at times will struggle a little with command. Has a good changeup. So not too many left-handers you face don't have a good changeup.
I was going to say, it sounds just like a typical lefty scouting report right there.
Well, the one caveat is he does throw 94. And so he does have a pretty good fastball to go with that changeup. Bonifacio, Reyes, and Hanley. He starts off with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. Bonifacio, a hit last night. He's 2 for 8 in the series. Miley is out of southeastern Louisiana. He was a sandwich pick in 2008. 43rd overall. And last year, down the stretch, he made 7 starts for the Diamondbacks, and he came through. He was 4-2 in those 7 starts.
Tell you what, he made a pretty good start. His first one this year. That was his last time out against the Phillies. 6 innings, gave up just 2 hits and no runs. Kind of throws across his body a little.
You'll notice, especially on a left-handed hitter, I think that's probably the toughest type of pitcher they're going to face, is someone that's He's almost stepping behind a left-handed hitter, and he's throwing an inside fastball. That's a tough pitch to pick up.
Probably with that delivery probably hides the ball pretty well.
This is just his second start. He's made 3 relief appearances. His only start, he was outstanding. 6 innings, scoreless against the Phillies. And he got the win. And he struck out a career high 7. Runs that inside to Bonifacio.
Let's give you a little scouting report brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. Yeah, he'll sit 90, 92, maybe a few ticks above that. Changeup is a plus.
Struck him out on a ball that was dropped by Miguel Montero. Bonifacio headed to the dugout. Jim Joyce made the call right away. I think he was pumping him before the ball was even dropped.
The catcher was trying to frame that ball a little bit before the pitch even got there because he knew it was going to be on that borderline low strike.
I think it was borderline. It was probably close.
Here's Reyes now. Tommy, the Marlins had trouble with a similar lefty and Ross Detweiler up in Washington on that road trip.
Well, they had trouble with Joe Saunders the other night. Jonathan Neese. So they've seen some left-handers who've thrown the ball well against him. And the youngster tomorrow making his major league debut, Patrick Corbin, also a left-hander.
Traditionally, over the last couple of years, the Marlins have had a pretty poor record against lefties.
That one fouled at the plate. One of the things I've noticed about Arizona in this series, as far as shifts, look at how far Lyle Overbay is.
A lot of room there.
Yeah, at first base. Reyes a pop-up, and this is Overbay, who has room and makes the catch.
See how the defense looks for Kirk Gibson's Diamondbacks. He's made a couple of changes. Kubel powering up in the outfield. Ransom gets the start at third. Roberts probably icing his arm after all the plays he's had the last couple of games. And Lyle Overbay back in there at first base. We saw Goldschmidt there last night.
Kirk Gibson, second full season. Remember, he took over in July of 2010 when the Diamondbacks fired A.J. Hinch. So an 0 for 26 for Hanley, which was snapped last night by the game-winning hit. And we'll see if that's a spark and a starting point. In the air, Aaron Hill. Wade Miley goes 1-2-3. brought to you by H. Greg. Coventry Healthcare second inning scoreless. Diamondbacks and Marlins. Wade Miley looked good in the first. Josh Johnson gave up a base hit to Gerardo Parra, who also stole a base. And so Miguel Montero, Cody Ransom, and Lyle Overbay for the Diamondbacks. There's the curveball that JJ has added to his arsenal.
That's a nice one because it gives a hitter a different look from the hard stuff he throws.
Well, I tell you, what an effective pitch that slider's been inside to a left-hander, too. Not your typical slider going across. It goes more down than it does across.
And, Rich, no truth to the rumor that JJ went and threw again in Central Park in between starts.
That's right. Marlins had that off day. Rather than go out to Citi Field, that's where the Giants and the Mets were playing a doubleheader. He and Randy St. Clair walked to the park. And that was like turning the clock back a couple years ago, guys, watching Josh Johnson and Johan Santana in New York that day. Santana, 11 strikeouts. JJ, 9 strikeouts. Of course, that was the infamous ball game in which the Marlins set a dubious major league record. Josh Johnson walked a man and then exited the game in the 7th, and then 3 relievers for 3 different hitters all came in and walked their man. The first time in major league history 4 pitchers had walked 4 straight batters. Swing and a miss. The tilt, guys, is what the scouts talked about watching JJ's last start in New York. The tilt on that slider.
The tilt, you'll see a good tilt here, and tilt means it's kind of goes from one plane to another, a higher to a lower. You see how much different the height on that ball is when it gets to the catcher's glove. And as a hitter, you see the spin, you think you've got it on a plane, and his is tilting, as they say, downward, and he's missing a lot of bats with that pitch inside.
Not flat.
Not flat.
3 strikeouts already, and here is the veteran Cody Ransom. Ransom is 36 and a guy that has been up and down in the big leagues. He has just over 3 years of big league time. Giancarlo is there, and Stanton makes the catch. Couple of outs. Marlins Park is Miami's jewel and the permanent home for the Miami Marlins. Concerts, international sporting events. Marlins Park is also available for booking, including weddings, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, trade shows, conventions, and events of all sizes. For booking information, call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. And this is the first ball game being played on a day where it's absolutely raining, and were this game at the old football stadium, it in all likelihood would have been delayed.
We might have gotten a phone call today.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even bother coming in. It's socked in.
It's locked in. We'd be sitting up in the booth eating, rating.
John Sosa would be in our rainy day programming.
Infante to his left, and Josh Johnson, a nice tidy second inning. JJ's locked in. Glad you are as well.
Miami Marlins Béisbol en Español es presentado en SAP por Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
That's what it looks like outside. And inside, the Marlins and the Diamondbacks are in the bottom of the second inning.
I've heard about dangerous texting while driving. How about taking video while driving? That sounds like very dangerous.
Well, our producer, John Seltzer, has a driver, though.
Oh, okay.
So he was okay doing that.
Here's the 0-1. Morrison takes inside. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Jeff Conine joining us for this Kids Sunday. Morrison, along with Omar Infante, have been the two most consistent hitters throughout this early season. This is game number 21 for the ball club. Smacks a hard ground ball out to second. Aaron Hill flips to first. Speaking of the rain, guys, and the crack staff has already heard from a couple of groups that were going to come down to the game that immediately called this morning saying, don't think we're going to come down. It's raining. Weather's bad.
Yeah, we were talking between innings. People in South Florida are going to have to change their thought process. In the past, a day like this, you wouldn't even think about a baseball game. Now, to me, this is the place to be. You can only spend so much time in a mall. So this is a great place to be on an awful day like today.
You're not doing your outdoor shopping in South Beach. You're not going to the beach. You're not going to the Air and Sea show today. It was canceled. This is the place to be.
And I don't think you can drink beer in a mall.
Not legally.
That swing by Omar Infante, you saw him stop, walk across the plate, and now hesitate back in the box. And I think for Ozzie Guillen and his staff, they're on pins and needles watching Infante play right now. And that is a swing, according to Jim Reynolds. Infante stares down in disbelief. And here comes Stanton. Boy, that's
no swing.
That's not a swing.
Ticky-tacky there. That's not a swing.
Usually, you'll say on that one, in a spot like that that could either go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Not in that case.
Getting back to Infante and talking to Ozzie before the game, I think they're a little more concerned with his movement defensively. You know, shifting side to side as opposed to running the bases or swinging the bat.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Tommy, during some course of your career, you had a strained groin, and forward movement, front movement isn't really that bad. But when you've got to change directions and go the other way is really when that thing bites on you.
Because you watched him last night when he had the pinch hit triple. He got motoring pretty well.
Stanton pops it up. Aaron Hill makes the catch. Wade Miley is untouchable. It's a 9-pitch inning. Sunday, and our very first Tommy's Tips of the year.
Well, a couple of things on this one. Number one, as an outfielder, have an idea where you're going to throw the ball, who's the runner. Don't have a play at the plate. So Bonifacio checks that out. He goes to third. That's the first thing. Now the second thing, Hanley gets rid of it. The rundown completed in a couple of throws. as Hanley kind of closed the gap there. You always like to see that too.
And that's not an easy play to make, that Bonifacio recognized that the runner was going to be safe. He should not throw there, but in the same motion threw it to third base. Usually a guy will collect himself, try to figure out where he's going to throw it, and by that time the runner has advanced to base.
Aaron Hill sends this one out to Bonifacio. You talk to Emilio about that, and he'll tell you that one of the things that has helped him as an outfielder on plays like that is his experience as an infielder. As Tommy pointed out yesterday, he's a guy that started playing outfield because the winter ball team he was playing for and in the minors coming up in Arizona, hey, they had too many infielders.
They were loaded with
so
infielders.
They put him out in the outfield.
And I think it just shows his tremendous athletic ability. We see him make plays in the outfield. We saw him make a couple of great plays at second base last night.
Outstanding plays, and I think the transition, if you are an infielder first, the transition is much easier to go to the outfield rather than vice versa.
Miley swings and misses. Wade Miley in the 9 spot. Josh Johnson has struck out 3. He's given up a base hit to Gerardo Parra, and that's it. Miley has not given up a hit. Just off the plate. This is not the end of this series. It's, in baseball terms, a wraparound series, which starts on Friday and ends on Monday. And Miley finds a spot just by Hanley, and he charges around first, and he'll hold right there. All season long, Fox Sports is proud to support the Boys and Girls Club of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports.
You know, Miley in his young career as a hitter now is 3 for 6.
Here is Willie Bloomquist. This game has 2 of the best defensive, I don't want to say utility guys, but versatile players in Bloomquist and Bonifacio, because Bloomquist is a guy, if you put him up the middle at short, second, or even at third, very good defensively, and he's a good outfielder as well. And maybe a Jerry Hairston Jr., another guy you can throw in that group.
And especially because they can play up the middle. The real positions that require a lot more, I think.
That's trouble. Giancarlo bobbles it, and Arizona's got runners at first and at third. Willie Bloomquist blooping a single to right.
Not hit all that well, but just slicing away from Stanton. He has a little trouble. The key is he at least kept it in front of him and kept Bloomquist at first base. I think Miley would have made it over to third anyway.
But as you get more experience out there, I think when you know you're not going to catch it, you break it down earlier, and you're going to realize that ball's going to take that hop up, and you catch it on the hop and keep the runners from advancing.
Well, now you've got Gerardo Parra up. He singled back in the first.
Tough guy to double up, too.
Bloomquist has pretty good speed at first. You've got the pitcher Wade Miley at third base in a scoreless game in the third. There's another looper, and that's going to fall. And Arizona's on the board first. Parra delivers an RBI single.
Kind of reminiscent of the opening start that JJ had against the Cardinals. They had a lot of blue base hits in that game, and that's what you're seeing here in this inning. And Parra produces a run with that one.
Both of Parra's hits, his first at bat, I don't think he realized that he had made that good a contact to left field. He was kind of looking around like he didn't know where the ball was. He got beat on that fastball as well, but got enough of the bat on it to get out into the outfield for a base hit.
Now you've got Upton, who was called out on strikes in the first. And I think a lot of people are just waiting for Upton to flip that switch, much like he did in May of last year. He has yet to get a hit with a runner in scoring position this season.
I think if you're JJ, too, in this situation, you have to realize you've made good pitches. You're throwing the ball well. You've made good pitches. They haven't really barreled up a lot of balls. So you have to just keep your focus.
Keep with that plan. I mean, it's not a bad plan when you're executing and they're getting cheap hits. You just got to stick with it.
Come on, you guys, listen to this cheap hit stuff. You guys, as hitters.
Oh, we're not throwing those back.
No, there's no such thing as a cheap hit as a hitter. But I mean, as an analyst, and we're looking at the game, we're going to comment on cheap hits made against the Marlins pitcher.
Jeff Conine and Tommy Hutton, still members of the Hitters Guild. Card-carrying members.
Card-carrying members.
And of that Little League Guild, too.
Ball and a strike. Johnson working on Upton. And JJ misses in.
Boy, he hasn't missed much.
Jim Joyce has been on it, though, so far in this ball game. Got good wheels out there for Arizona. Diamondbacks have scored first. Upton and JJ out there. Reyes' relay off the bag. Looked like Reyes got clipped pretty good at second by Parra. Upton is safe. Bloomquist resides at third.
I tell you what, timing is so important in a play like this. JJ takes a little too much time. If he gets rid of it faster, he allows Reyes to get rid of his throw and get out of the way of Parra. But by the time Reyes gets the throw, here comes Parra, who has good speed. And because he upended him, Jose couldn't get a good throw off.
Good hard base running by Parra right there. That's a good slide in there. He did his job breaking up the double play.
On the other hand, you'd rather see a pitcher take his time, make a good throw, as opposed to airmailing it into center field.
So now Jason Kubel, who bounced to second his first time up.
And manager Kirk Gibson, that was a trademark of his.
Oh,
going into second base, you did not want to be a middle infielder when there was a slow ground ball hit, because he would have no qualms taking you and putting you into left field.
Funny you brought that up. I was thinking about this earlier. Got two managers, and a lot of managers manage the way they played. And the Marlins with Ozzie and the Diamondbacks with Gibson, they manage the way they played.
You know, it's funny too, the bench coaches the two have chosen are very similar in style as well. I mean, Joey Cora was a scrappy player, much like Guillen, middle infielder. And Don Baylor was one of the toughest guys of his era.
He slid like that too.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. He'd take a pitch too if you wanted him to.
Cora had a
Not trying to get out of the way, that's for sure.
Nice run in the big leagues with the White Sox and Mariners in particular. And of course, Baylor. Long career. 0-2 to Jason Kubel. Johnson steps off. Upton stole 21 bags last year. Nice block.
Good job.
Buck smothering that ball. And it's 1-2. Marlins fell behind last night right out of the blocks. Arizona getting 2 in the first. They've got a run here in the third. Johnson trying to keep it at that. And JJ steps off.
Really slowed his pace down here in this inning. He wants to make a good pitch to a tough out, tough hitter, Jason Kubel.
The slider, and it misses low and in.
Some lefties will chase that, but Kubel was able to stay off of it.
Kubel, a longtime member of the Twins organization. 12 years in that organization. Got him.
Couldn't lay off that one.
But the Diamondbacks are on the board. Gerardo Parra's RBI single. JJ pitches out of further trouble. It's 1-0. Last night in the ninth. Let's go to Conine's Corner and find out what he did. Jeff?
Thank you, Rich. We're over here at Conine's Corner for the first demo of the year. Well, you heard Hanley Ramirez talk about shortening his swing to get to that inside fastball. I'm going to show you kind of what he did, I think, to get that accomplished. You see where his hands were very high on the bat behind his swing last night. But my key for him was his front leg. He's got a big leg kick. Hanley got a very big leg kick. He got that front foot down very early, which allowed his hands to travel enough to get to that inside fastball. You get the foot down late. Remember this on a Kid Sunday. You get that foot down late, your hands aren't going to make it to the strike zone and able to, especially for an inside pitch. So that's why Hanley was successful last night against the sidearmer.
Very nice.
That's a good point. I think a lot of youngsters, and certainly so, you and I, we didn't have the ability to watch all these games and see all these hitters on TV. A lot of youngsters will try to emulate what they see in games. Now, there's nothing wrong with that leg lift and the leg kick that Hanley has, but when it gets out of whack, it makes that swing get a little longer. So I think sometimes kids try to do that and have a hard time putting it all together.
You could see on that video, just as Jeff demonstrated, how quickly the foot got down and it brought the hands with it, and he was able to get to that low fastball.
And it's something he's been working on. He just has to concentrate on that every at bat. Because this is not a bad pitch from Ziegler.
You see the ball has not even entered the viewing area of the camera yet, and his foot is down. That was key. I remember watching actually a walk that he had in Philadelphia on television, and he ended up taking the pitch, but his foot was not down until the ball was almost at the dirt and able to get to an inside fastball. It's almost impossible to get your bat head to an inside fastball when your foot doesn't hit the ground until the ball gets to the dirt.
And Niner, as I was saying just before you came back, sometimes kids try to copy that. It's a little tough to teach young kids the leg kick because it really incorporates a whole lot. You would really prefer young kids don't have that.
It really takes a lot. The timing has to be perfect. Your timing has to be spot on to be able to hit that way successfully, consistently. Yes, it will. It might give you some more power because you're really loading up your backside. But with that leg kick, you're standing up in the air a long time, and that thing really has to get down. See how down it is? It's early, very early. And you saw Manny Ramirez with that big leg kick, kind of made it famous, but he was down so early. I think even more than halfway. The ball was less than halfway there when his foot was down.
Hey, there have been some guys. Harold Baines.
Harold Baines. I played with Bainesy, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Marlins' timing has been disrupted by this guy, Wade Miley, who has struck out 3. Josh Johnson fouls it back to the screen, and he's out pitching JJ. Miley is 25. Made 73 starts in the minor leagues. Coming out of southeastern Louisiana. Now he's got 4 strikeouts, and he has been perfect through 3 innings. 1-0 ball game. Arizona on top.
Florida, over 2,000 Navymen, sailors, Marines, Coast Guard are in town. Unfortunately, the Air and Sea Show was canceled today, but the Marlins were kind enough to invite many of the sailors here, including Randy Morales, Marcel McGee from Chicago. Tell us, first of all, how exciting it is to be at the ballpark, Mr. McGee.
Oh, it's feel good. I love baseball. I love the game overall. It's just bringing it back to high school, basically.
A lot of these guys played in the high school. Randy, you played in Washington. What about the Fleet Week makes it so exciting, you think, for people to come and see the ships and see what you guys do for our country?
I think it's nice so then we can explain to everybody what we do, and we can give out a helping hand to the community and, you know, meet people. What do people find the most fascinating about Fleet Week and about what you guys do as sailors? I think our uniforms. I think they really like how we dress and look. Everyone wonders how they can be so white, so pristine. Huh? It's very hard. It's very hard. Here's Lieutenant JG, that is James Regan. Take a look at that camera there. And what kind of baseball fan are you? And do you follow? Are you able to follow the game at all, being that you're always out on the sea?
We get the games kind of sent into our ship via satellite. So yeah, normally the hardcore baseball players or baseball fans are in the wardroom or on the mess decks watching the games. And so yeah, I mean I used to go to games all the time with my granddad, so yeah, I enjoy baseball a lot.
You're from Dallas, so you got a pretty exciting team in the Rangers then, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to go all the way.
All right, nice seeing you guys, and of course, for all of us, thank you for what you guys do in your service to the country. Huh?
Yeah, thank you very much, all you guys.
All right, Fleet Week, a lot of sailors enjoying baseball here today at Marlins Park. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Craig. And it seems like, guys, the crowd is growing as the game has come along. I think probably a few folks that thought to themselves, it's raining, I'm not going anywhere today. And then they realize, oh, yeah, there's a roof. And it'll be nice and dry and comfortable inside. Cody Ransom takes low and inside. Arizona with a 1-0 lead. 3 singles in the 3rd inning against Josh Johnson. Gerardo Parra, who was 2 for 2 in the ball game, drove in the only run.
Hey, the Fleet Week kind of reminded me of, let's see, we'll be there on the weekend. What we'll probably see in San Diego on Sunday.
It's one of the great traditions of San Diego is their relationship, that city and that region, with the military.
Camp Pendleton right down the road, one of the biggest training bases for Marines.
Yeah, up in Oceanside. See, you said down the road because you were thinking of where you used to live.
Hey guys, the sailors I just talked to are all on the USS Gettysburg, and their captain is a Fort Lauderdale native, and he was one of the guys who was honored here. Captain Robert N. Hine, who's not at the game today, is the commanding officer of the USS Gettysburg. And also in town is the USS Wasp, and Captain Gary Boardman is also a Fort Lauderdale native, and that commanding officer honored this week as part of Fleet Week.
That's good stuff, and it's good to know. I know that oftentimes we are carried by American Forces Network in our games, and we always tip our caps to the men and women around the globe and on ships at sea. So it's good to hear that on those ships at sea, they're at, as they said, in the mess hall or in the up on board watching the games on satellite.
Yeah, we go out on a road for a week at a time and maybe 10 days, and they go on the road for 6 months at a time, a year at a time.
Let's see if they can answer this AT&T trivia question. Emilio Bonifacio was originally signed by the Diamondbacks and traded to Washington for whom?
May get English professors calling in on that one.
He's really tall. That's my hint. Here's the 1-0. JJ getting a strike on Overbay, and the count's 1-1. And as Tommy would say, he's all tatted up.
You're giving too many hints away. We just saw him.
Swing and a miss.
This be a nice inning.
Is he one of the tallest pitchers in baseball history?
Oh, yeah.
Or the tallest?
This be a good inning for JJ. Come back, have a nice 1-2-3 inning.
He struck out Ransom. And Overbay takes that slider in. It's 2-2. Five strikeouts for Johnson. Aaron Hill in the 8th spot. That's a pretty good pop in the 8th spot when Aaron Hill is in your lineup in that spot. Buck couldn't hold the foul tip. And the count 3-2 to Lyle Overbay, the veteran who's been a few places, did a lot of home runs. Originally drafted by Arizona. Started his career in the big leagues with the Diamondbacks. A couple years in Milwaukee, 5 years, some good years in Toronto. And he slices that one into the corner. That's going to be extra bases. Overbay on his way to second. And the Diamondbacks have had success, the left-handed hitters going to left field against Johnson.
Overbay did a lot of that during his stints in Toronto. He had a couple of years over 40 doubles. He had 53 doubles one year with Milwaukee. So a guy who, he does have some pop. He'll give you an occasional home run, but he's got that gap power and that double down the line there.
We saw a location on that pitch. John Buck was set up inside, an inside fastball there, and it tailed over the outside corner, so he missed his spot by quite a bit.
All right, as Tommy pointed out, Wade Miley has handled the bat. It's not a big sample size, but he poked a single to left his first time up, and the Marlins are walking Hill to get to Miley. As we pointed out, Aaron Hill is a dangerous hitter. He's homered in this series, has 3 hits, and he barreled one up and lined it out to Bonifacio out in center field in the 3rd inning.
Seems like those young pitchers are always the pitchers that swing the bat well, that are not too far removed from maybe hitting in college or occasional at bat in the minor leagues, and then as they get older and less at bats in the big leagues, they become not as proficient with the bat.
Well, Miley's base hit went between Hanley and the 3rd base line. So I don't know that JJ's going to just pump him a fastball down the middle and see what he can do.
I think Miley used to swing that lumber at alligators. One of his favorite shows, Swamp People. Yeah.
He is a Louisiana guy.
Oh, yeah.
Ball and a strike. Hammond, Louisiana. Out across the lake from New Orleans. Fastball in the air. Morrison, and it falls foul.
That's a good thing that ball curled foul. That was trouble, because I don't think Lomo could have gotten there, and I don't think Hanley was going to get there.
It's one of the similarities that this ballpark has with Arizona or Colorado. The large dimensions lends itself to balls that will fall in the gap and fall in front of outfielders more so than a ballpark, say, a Cincinnati or Philadelphia.
You see that a lot at Coors Field, too.
Absolutely. There's a lot of grass out there, and people are so concerned or focused on the lack of home runs, but with the size of the dimensions, there's a lot more gap out there than in most ballparks.
1-2. Got him. So JJ strikes him out, leaves a couple, headed to the bottom of the 4th. Arizona 1-0. Pembroke Pines. Find your best price, service, selection at LexusofPembrokePines.com. And by Sagicor. Plan a bright financial future today at SagicorLifeUSA.com. It is a Kids Sunday under the roof on a wet day in Miami. And on Kids Sunday, we have a variety of things planned for you. How about it? Niners Nuggets, and that is outfield play. Who's got it, Niner?
Who's got it? I got it. You take it. You see both outfielders converging on that play right there. And the key is, kids, communication. You call the ball, and you call it loud, you call it often.
What happens? I've had this question when they're both calling.
Well, just that. You see early on right here, Emilio Bonifacio is calling, I got it, I got it, I got it, and then he stops. He should call it again right there in case both players are calling for it at the same time. Call it for a few times, be quiet, see if you can hear them call, and then call it again. We saw it happen earlier this year with Ramirez and Jose Reyes in the infield. You know, he stepped over, and I think Reyes was concentrating so hard on the ball in the roof, he didn't want to take his eyes off it. Crowd's loud. You know, Hanley's calling for it at the same time, and they ended up colliding and dropping the ball.
All right, second time around now for the lineup against Miley, guy that they've never seen before. How do you approach the second time?
Hopefully different than the first time. It didn't work out so well the first time.
You've seen him now.
But just that, you have seen him once already. Now you've seen the way his ball moves. You've seen the way he steps toward first base on his delivery, comes across his body. So it's a little more familiar.
First time through the lineup, he has struck out 4, and nobody has hit the ball hard against him. And there he dials up 92 on the fastball and strikes out Bonifacio. All right, the AT&T trivia questions. We flipped the phone. Had to deal with Bonifacio. Who did the Diamondbacks get for him? John Roush.
And of course, Bonnie acquired by the Marlins for with some other minor league players involved, but for Scott Olson and Josh Willingham.
Willingham has changed teams a couple of times since.
Off to a good start this year with Minnesota.
Reyes swings and misses. And it's 1-2.
Tommy, going back to your point earlier in the game, I think the way he delivers the ball, he's hiding it really well, because we're seeing them swing at 91-mile-an-hour fastballs like he's throwing mid to upper 90s.
So much of pitching. I saw that the other night, the night we had off in New York. Lincecum was pitching against the Mets and wasn't throwing as hard as he has. But 90-91, there were a lot of swing and misses because of his deception.
He's got a lot going on in that delivery.
Of course, that was after a nice meal in New York, too.
We saw it last night with Ian Kennedy. I mean, he's throwing 89 to 91 miles an hour with a lot of swings and misses.
Kennedy, in talking to some of the Diamondback players, Kennedy did not have his best stuff last night, but still was able to find a way to keep the fish off balance and pitch well enough to win the ball game. Had the Marlins not come back against the bullpen. Reyes bounces out. The Marlins still don't have a hard hit ball against Miley. After the 4 strikeouts, you've got 3 pop outs, a bouncer to second, and a bouncer back to the mound. Hanley popped out in the first. Miley throws him a changeup, and it's 1-0. Another changeup, 1-1.
All of a sudden, he hadn't thrown a lot of changeups first time around.
See the dramatic splits, home and road. It's probably true with a lot of Marlins, especially coming off a road trip in which the Marlins went 0-5 and scored just 6 runs. Miley's right around the plate.
3 consecutive changeups to Hanley. And some pitchers, you'll see that they'll try to go through the entire first time through the lineup and save a pitch and not let anyone see everything they've got the first time through.
I guess the question is he waiting to pop a fastball and try to sneak it by him?
If he tries, it'll be up.
Breaking ball fouled.
Doesn't get easier in San Francisco. Marlins will see an assortment of styles in that series. McCain, Zito, and then Vogelsong.
You can hear Jim Joyce do his mask say no, outside. And that was close, but it was outside. Montero tried to snap it back to the corner.
Does he stay fastball or come back with a changeup?
I think he's going to go back changeup.
On the ground, kicked by Ransom, who was looking at that right hand of his. I don't know if he got a weird hop, but Hanley is aboard on an error by the Diamondbacks' third baseman.
Well, baby steps. There goes the perfect game. We saw Ryan Roberts the first couple of games of this series make just about every play down there. That ball climbed up on him a little.
Had 9 assists in that game the other night.
He was busy.
A third of the outs was by the third baseman. That was impressive.
That's the most assists this year in the big leagues by a third baseman. Morrison now with 2 outs. Miley misses outside. Well, I guess you could say Morrison is part Louisiana because
Slidell.
Slidell. He grew up in both Louisiana and in Kansas City.
See if the Marlins can take advantage of a mistake for once. It seems like they've been getting beat on mistakes a lot recently.
Two and 0. And Morrison pops it up. Miley's calling for it. Ransom chases him out of there and makes the catch. Marlins get their first base runner, still looking for their first hit in a 1-0 game. Anibal Sanchez strikeouts in the game. Ricky Nolasco set the Marlins record with 16. Sanchez last night tying a pair of efforts by A.J. Burnett. You can count on Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof for results. Subway 5th inning, 1-0 Diamondbacks, and nobody would have expected that Sanchez, let alone would have pitched into the 7th inning or strike out 14 hitters after his first inning and the 2 hitters that he walked to open up the second.
We had 57 pitches the first 2 innings. He probably had better stuff last night than he had in the no-hitter he pitched against them.
Bloomquist, end of the bat. JJ has it, and he'll flip just in time. Got to get a little more on that flip.
Yeah, 57 in the first two, 53 in the next 5.
Yeah.
I think JJ thought that he was going to be able to tag him here, and he's like, well, nope, I better flip it.
And flipped a good changeup over to Gabby. Good arm action.
JJ with the top of the order for the Diamondbacks. Now with Gerardo Parra. And this is the guy that has caused the biggest headache for Johnson. A single and a stolen base in the first, and then an RBI single in the third. Parra, the young Venezuelan, he's 25. A supreme defensive player. He won the Gold Glove last year and had a solid offensive year as well. He had a .357 on base percentage, 20 doubles. Two and one. Marlins thought they were going to face Josh Colmenter, the big right-hander, tomorrow. Instead, another lefty. And the Fish are just 2-4 against lefties this year. Patrick Corbin will make his major league debut tomorrow against Mark Burley. A 12:40 start before the Marlins head out to San Francisco. And Parra is on again. So 1 out, runner at first. You can experience Miami Marlins baseball in luxury and give your group a true VIP treatment with the new Fiesta Suites at Marlins Park. Fiesta Suites offer the suite experience on a single game basis and feature an all-inclusive menu, premium seats, flat screen TVs, air conditioned comfort, and more. 1-877 Marlins or go to marlins.com. The matchup between Upton has gone JJ's way twice. Upton is 0 for 2 against him with a strikeout. In his career now, 2 for 11 with 6 strikeouts. Runner bluffs and Upton fouls it back to the screen. This has a familiar feeling to it in this series, going back to Friday and even the first 6 innings last night. You've got a big crowd, a lot of energy in the building, and yet they're just kind of waiting for the Marlins to do something.
They're waiting for that moment.
And up until last night when Lomo hit that home run, the biggest moment was the smooch cam.
That was a big moment.
They've been kind of throwing out the senior smooch cam too.
Yeah, that's the one. They were trying to get this couple to smooch for about an inning, and they finally did it, and the place went crazy.
And they did it. Was it Lyle Overbay who was at the plate? Overbay, looking up at the board, saw that, had to step out,
and then singled. The professional that Overbay is, didn't bother him at all.
Didn't bother him.
He's a veteran player, so senior smooch cam was right up his alley.
Hey, he's 35. That's senior in this game.
Oh and 2. Johnson's pitch count at 71 with 1 out here in the 5th. Parra's at first.
You mentioned the Diamondbacks players saying that Ian Kennedy didn't have his best stuff last night. I think we're seeing a Josh Johnson that doesn't really have his best stuff today.
Yeah, and I think it pointed out why Ian Kennedy won 21 games last year. When you can pitch like that without your best stuff.
Exactly.
And why JJ's in a 1-0 game, maybe without his best stuff.
But he's kind of gone away from the fastball today, throwing a lot more sliders, a lot more changeups than last couple starts.
Pitch out, and Parr's not running.
Do pitchers sometimes give hitters too much credit?
Yes. I think they do.
But then a part of that, and we've discussed it over the last week, a part of that I think is a carryover to the lack of offense that the Marlins have had, so the pitchers go out there thinking they have to be perfect.
Like in this ball game, Marlins don't have a hit in 4 innings against Wade Miley. 2-2. Ground ball, that's into left field. Morrison picks it up. And now the Diamondbacks have runners first and second. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Justin Upton with a base hit, and now you've got Kubel up again with 2 runners aboard. JJ struck him out to finish the 3rd, but there's only 1 out here, and you've got good speed out there for the Diamondbacks.
We were talking velocity before with Josh Johnson, and not been, I don't think he's hit 94 yet today. It's been 91 and 93 pretty much for the whole game.
Breaking ball hit hard into right. Stanton up with it, got a good arm, runner coming home. Here's the throw, safe. Boy, Parra just sliding by. Good strong throw by Stanton. Diamondbacks take a 2-0 lead. Runners at the corners. And Kubel has another hit in this series, his 5th.
Well, without the speed of Parra, this is probably a lot closer play, but that's where speed really helped out on that base hit. Stanton came up with a good one-hop throw, but Parra already passed John Buck. In the meantime, Upton went first to 3rd as well.
Good base running by Upton to get into scoring position, get to 3rd base with less than 2 outs.
Now Montero. One of the similarities between Marlins Park and Sun Life Stadium is that the grass right now very short, and the infield and outfield very quick. The Marlins are hopeful that as the season goes along and you get into June and July, that this grass will take root and they'll be able to grow it a little bit longer than they were in the football stadium.
I think it's interesting, though. I think if the ballpark continues to show that it's going to play big, now you may have to rethink that. If it plays big and you have thick grass on the infield, it's really going to be tough to hit.
I agree. Let the ball in the gap get to the wall instead of an outfielder being able to cut it off. Take those extra base hits, because you're not going to get extra base hits by hitting it over the fence.
And the same thing with the infield grass.
Here's the 1-1. Slice to left. That's going to produce another run. Morrison collects it. Montero delivers. And the Diamondbacks have 3 runs against JJ.
Just about every game in this series, we've talked about big hits that Montero got last year with the solid all-star year that he had. He came into that at bat 7 for 20 this year with runners in scoring position. Doesn't try to do too much and brings in another run.
You made reference to JJ's opening night start against the Cardinals and the number of singles. Well, there's 8 hits on the board. 7 of them are singles.
No, Ozzie has stressed, and I know you've talked to him a lot, Niner, and we were talking to him today before the game. The importance of singles, driving in runs. He said, I don't care if Stanton hits only 1 home run, but if he has 100 RBIs, I'll take that.
Too often nowadays, especially in today's game, you're concerned with power and the long ball. But like you said, if you're not doing it, go ahead and focus on the little stuff that's going to score runs, manufacturing runs, hitting guys over, hitting singles instead of trying to hit that home run that's has not been there for the Marlins yet so far yet this year.
Three runs on 8 hits for Arizona. The Marlins don't have a run and they don't have a hit. Still 1 out. Still top 5. Ransom 0 for 2. And now JJ's behind at 2-1. Got a strike and it's 2-2.
Cody Ransom didn't start the year with the Diamondbacks. He started it in AAA Reno. It's a pretty good place to hit, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's a pretty good place to hang out after the ballgame as well. Chandler, Arizona is where Ransom is from.
JJ kind of lost command of that fastball that he had the first couple innings. He was really spotting this fastball on the inside outside corners. Now it seems like he's lost that a little bit and going to the breaking ball.
Well, it's 3-2. We'll see if Kirk Gibson gets aggressive here. Doesn't have a lot of speed out there. They're not running. And with good reason, Ransom swings and misses.
Including Cody Ransom. 5 of the last 10 hitters that Josh Johnson has faced have taken him to a 3-ball count. So do you think it's because he doesn't think he has that extra 3-4 miles an hour to challenge a hitter with the fastball?
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. He's trying to keep on the corners with his breaking stuff, trying to get out. So you see his pitch count now up to 86 pitches in just 5 innings.
Now Overbay, who doubled and bounced out, and JJ misses inside. Yeah, this is feeling like a Chad Godin kind of ball game. Pitch number 87 coming. He ties Overbay up. The Diamondbacks hopeful that Chris Young's shoulder heals and they get him back in center field, then they would slide Parra over to left. Stephen Drew continues to try to rehab that fractured ankle. Daniel Hudson, one of their good young starters, has a shoulder issue right now, a shoulder impingement. This has been a long, slow inning for JJ. A walk, 3 hits, a couple runs.
Gives us time to carry on our Nevada theme. University of Nevada, Reno is where Lyle Overbay went to school.
Brett Hayes, also a member of the Wolfpack. Two and two. Bryce Harper making his debut last night. He played junior college ball in Southern Nevada.
To continue the theme, had a nice night in his debut in front of over 54,000 at Dodger Stadium. Of course, a lot of that was because it was Maury Wills, Don Drysdale bobblehead night, not for Bryce Harper.
Well, Matt Kemp is the one that stole the show at the end. And JJ's long inning comes to an end with his 8th strikeout. But it's 3-0 Arizona. Diamondbacks on top of the Fish. Let's go to Jeff Conine's corner, see what he's cooking up here on a Kids Sunday. Niner?
Yeah, we're back over here in the demonstration studio. We talked a lot about Wade Miley and his deception that he's showing the Marlins hitters, thus they have no hits right now. But what does deception mean? Well, in Miley's case, a lot of it has to do with his delivery. Left-hander, you have to flip it for what I'm doing, but during his windup, he actually steps towards or across his body. So as a right-hander, I'm going to be stepping this way. My arm goes behind my body, and as I'm getting ready to deliver, you don't really see the ball until it's almost out of my hand. Pitchers that aren't deceptive will open up their body early, and you see the ball very early as a hitter. What he's doing is throwing across his body, good deception. He hides the ball well. That's what we mean by hiding the ball well, and thus having great deception. So it makes it much more tougher on a hitter, especially a left-handed hitter, to hit that kind of pitcher.
Hey, Niner, you were a pitcher in college at UCLA. Did you throw across your body?
Rich, that's why I became a hitter. I didn't have any deception whatsoever. They saw the ball very well off of me and took some pretty good swings, as a matter of fact.
I think you made a nice career choice, though.
Good transition.
Yeah, good transition, nice career choice. It was either that or racquetball, so.
A lot more money in baseball, pal.
Just a bit.
No deception, no stuff. That's a bad combo.
Now, the Marlins have had just one base runner, and that was the error by Ransom that put Hanley at first in the 4th. Wade Miley has not given up a hit. Omar Infante takes the strike. The count's 3-1. Infante, Giancarlo Stanton, and Gabby Sanchez against the lefty out of Louisiana, Wade Miley. 25-year-old serves up a fastball. Infante pulls it foul, and it's 3-2. Infante, an enormous hit last night. The Marlins in a very similar situation last night, just like in this ball game. As Infante walks, the Marlins trying to get something started against Ian Kennedy. They were down 2-0, and Infante pinch hit and tripled to center with that sore groin. He legged out the triple. He scored on a Reyes single. And of course, Morrison tied it with a home run in the 8th inning. The Marlins won it on the Hanley hit in the 9th. And here is Stanton, who is in the throes of his longest homerless streak of his young career.
Wow, good move. That's one thing all of a sudden you learn on that. The last thing Infante wants to do is get picked off. But it's the first time today the Marlins have gotten a leadoff man on base.
You saw his reaction there. It was more of a belly flop than a get back.
95 at bats. This is game number 28 in the homerless streak dating back to last year.
Who'd have thought, if you took a poll of Marlins fans, that both Giancarlo Stanton and Albert Pujols would be homerless this late in the season?
Almost at the end of the month, and Rich mentioned last inning, Matt Kemp with a walk-off home run has 11.
The chance of MVP last night from 52,000 when he hit that walk-off in extras was pretty incredible. That ball to left field. That's deep. Back goes Kubel at the wall. He makes the catch. Infante retreats to first. It looked like and sounded like he actually hit that off the end of the bat.
I was about to say, I think he got off the end a little bit. We'll see by the replay here. Yep, off the end.
This would be one niner to ask Stanton after the game if he thought he got that or if he thought he hit it off the end.
I'm going to say he's going to say I hit it off the end, but I thought I got enough of it to get it out of here.
He's strong enough to do that, yeah.
Most everyone else in this ballpark will have to square it up and hit it very well to get it out of here, where he can miss hit a ball and still get it out of here.
Miley's out in front of Gabby Sanchez, 0-1. Gabby in the series 1 for 8. Gabby pulls it left field line. Kubel on the run, and he reaches up and he makes the catch. And Infante is going to get doubled off. On a relay throw, Infante ventured too far. The Diamondbacks with a heads-up play and an inning-ending double play.
por Toyota.
We asked the question, would the Marlins have a carryover from last night's comeback? And so far it's been a hangover from the road trip. The Marlins went 0-5 on that road trip, had trouble scoring runs, and in this ball game they don't even have a hit. The Marlins were ready to lift Josh Johnson if that inning had progressed. Austin Kearns had a bat and was about to emerge on deck after that bizarre double play on the fly ball to left. It's very rare that you see on a ball like that it's not a diving catch or a line drive, especially in the corner in left field, to see a runner doubled off at first base.
That's a play that's in front of you as a base runner. He could see that ball travel the entire way, and about right here you see him slow down. You know he's going to catch it. Give credit to Kubel for getting it in, and the shortstop for having the wits to make a good throw.
Willie Bloomquist. Aaron Hill reaches out, pokes one into center field. So Hill in the 8th spot has a base hit, and the singles theme continues. 8 of the 9 hits for the Diamondbacks are singles in this one. Our Toyota trend, Aaron Hill has reached in 17 straight, 19 of 21 overall. He's a good little player, a guy who's had some really nice years in Toronto, and his base hit gives Miley an opportunity to try to push him to second. Obviously the Marlins would like to see JJ finish this inning because he's due up second in the bottom of the 6th.
Watching guys like Hill and Kubel kind of goes along with our theme, Rich, of players that you don't get a chance to see a whole lot of, and all of a sudden you see why they've been around the big leagues for a while and why they are solid players.
Play the game hard, play the game right.
Now the fact that Miley swings the bat a little bit, you have to be careful. He might not be bunting. He may pull the bat back and take a swing.
He squares, and Hill dives back in. In the big leagues today, obviously on Sunday, everybody's playing. Mike Dunn getting ready. Phillies are trailing the Cubs 3-0 in the 5th in Philadelphia. It's a Matt Garza start. He's shutting down the Phillies.
Did you see the other night, Rich, when the Cubs beat the Phillies? They beat Roy Halladay. Halladay 1-5 in his career against the Cubs.
I would have lost that bet.
Yeah, there's always one team.
Braves are trailing the Pirates 2-1 in the 4th. JJ swallows up the bunt and gets the out at first. Here comes Bloomquist, and a reminder that you can provide your group with true VIP hospitality at Marlins Park this season. A lot of different areas: the Fiesta Suites, the Bullpen Zone, the Clevelander, and the Budweiser Balcony. Enjoy air-conditioned comfort, great food options, and premium entertainment. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com today. That's become a very popular hangout there, the Budweiser Bowtie Bar and Balcony. Now here's Bloomquist.
Yeah, just thinking about it, up at that Budweiser balcony, just above the 427 sign, they're all waiting for Stanton to hit one in their grasp about 4:30.
I wonder what that would do to the Budweiser sign if we hit that sign. Would we see some fireworks coming from that thing?
Fastball is up and in. Now that's 427 from home plate. I wonder if that's the true distance, though, in terms of trajectory.
Sounding like you're getting into physics now.
It looks a long way.
It does look a long way. I've taken those stairs up to our center field perch for pre and post game, and that's it's a long ways up there, but an interesting perspective. It's actually a great seat, kind of like the monster seats at Fenway.
There's special accommodations for you and Craig.
Now wait a minute here. You're telling me you took those stairs
by the flags, where the flags are?
Where the flags are? So that means you cut through the Clevelander.
Well, yeah, it's the shortest.
Any time
it's the shortest distance if we're talking, geometry.
No, it's not.
The shortest distance, we do 2 points in a straight line, and that's my straight line.
Now they're dancing in the Clevelander right now. You can see.
Do they dance? I didn't know that. I didn't know they had dancing there.
That's why you're always smiling when you get up to the booth. Bloomquist, a 1-for-3 ball game, 3 hits in the series, and that relay throw that he made, the sprawling stop and flip to get an out in the first inning last night, those are little plays that are the hallmark of a guy like Willie Bloomquist.
Well, what a spectacular play that was last night.
It was. He literally stood on his head. 2-2. Up the middle into center field, base hit. Bonifacio got a good break. Round third. Here comes Hill. Here comes the throw. And he's in there. And the Diamondbacks are singling Josh Johnson to death. Aaron Hill scores. Willie Bloomquist delivers again.
And again, smart base running after the base hit. He picks up the throw from Bonifacio. It just tails on him a little bit. But no hesitation on Bloomquist's part on the throw. He's at second base.
A lot of times teams or runners will trade an out for a run. They'll try to bait the cutoff man into cutting that ball off to get you going for first and second and let that run score.
Marlins, I think, are going to make a double switch here to bring Chad Godin into the ball game with the pitcher spot due up second. Or excuse me, is that Godin was up. Dunn had replaced him, and it is Mike Dunn. So Dunn's coming in. I think Chris Coghlan may be part of this switch. We'll sort it out when we return. For the Diamondbacks, 9 of them singles, 4 runs. The Marlins don't have a run. They don't have a hit. And they don't have Josh Johnson anymore. The double switch is going to bring Chris Coghlan in the ballgame and Austin Kearns. Coghlan was at the top step and was ready to go out. And Ozzie decided rather than take Morrison out, he'd bring Morrison to first. And Kearns ends up in left, and here's Dunn.
Well, he had Gabby making the last out last inning. So Kearns bats in the 9th spot. Dunn or whoever else comes in to pitch will hit in the Gabby Sanchez spot.
And Dunn will try to calm down the Diamondbacks. Parra in particular. He has a couple of hits, a stolen base, an RBI, a walk. Fouls it at the plate, and he has scored a run.
Well, they've done a good job, the Diamondbacks, off JJ today. 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So when they've had that opportunity, they haven't banged out extra base hits, but they've gotten that key single. Just one extra base hit today. I think they only had 2 the other night when they had the 15 hits. 2 extra base hits.
Well, that's kind of been the theme of JJ's season so far, too, hasn't he? I mean, he hasn't really given up. Has he given up a home run yet?
No.
And we've seen the opening day start with singles tonight. A lot of singles, 1 double.
I think
so it's not like he's really getting hit that hard.
I think the frustrating part, and it has to be for him too, we've seen the inability of him to be able to put a hitter away.
Dunn gets a strike. It's 1-2.
Yeah, the irony, he had 8 strikeouts though, is he had flashes of putting hitters away.
Right.
Frustrating for all.
Bloomquist, the runner at second. 1-2 coming. Up the middle. Infante on to first in time. Bloomquist now at third. And Dunn will go after Justin Upton. Marlin fans, brush up on your big league stats, because Fox Sports Florida wants to give you the chance to experience the broadcast booth at Marlins Park one night. You'll join us here in the booth, get an exclusive behind the scenes tour. Log on to foxsportsflorida.com and find out how.
Jeff Conine won that contest, Rich.
Yeah, I was the first winner.
He's first winner, got to come up here today. How's it going? Is it fun?
I'm getting a heck of a tour, that's for sure.
Marlin's going to put Upton on and face Kubel, even though Kubel has 5 hits in this series.
They get back-to-back lefties, Kubel and Montero. We hope, Rich, whoever wins that contest is as well prepared as Jeff Conine.
Absolutely. He will. And will that guest get to fool around up in Conine's corner?
Possibly.
Play with the stuff. Tommy will give him a lesson in telestrating. So here's Kubel. And Dunn with 2 outs, trying to get out of the 6th and get the Marlins back at the plate, where they've had a very difficult afternoon.
Kubel 5 for 11 in this series with runners in scoring position.
RBI single his last time up. Runner goes, and that's a stolen base. Upton swipes his 2nd of the season.
A very clean-shaven Mike Dunn out there.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize him. He came into the game the other night. I'm like, I thought we got a new pitcher.
Breaking ball misses. And he's 3-0. Montero, another lefty, is on deck, but he also has delivered a run-scoring hit in this ball game. Green light on 3-0 and a deep blast to center. Bonifacio back, looking. It's off the base of the wall. 2 will score. Bloomquist and Upton across, and Kubel got everything of that 3-0 pitch. That's a long ways to center field. And the Diamondbacks have cracked it open.
Now 6 for 12 in this series. Runners in scoring position. You get a guy swinging the bat like that. That's why Kirk Gibson gave him the green light. Straight away center field, directly over the head of Bonifacio. And more runs for the D-backs.
Not the easiest thing to do either, Tommy. I don't know if you enjoyed hitting 3-0 and you did have the green light. I really didn't. I just
some guys are better at it than others.
Yeah, because you've always been told by all your coaches you better either swing and miss or hit the ball hard. You better not make an out on 3-0.
How often did you swing 3-0?
Seldom, maybe 1 out of 10. And that was only if I was going really good at the time.
A lot of times you just like to take it, get a good look. And then when you did that, it was right down the middle.
Of course.
Big uppercut there by Montero, the Diamondbacks catcher.
You know, it goes back to, though, the fact that Mike Dunn wasn't able to get ahead, make some pitches. The fact that he fell behind 3-0, and Kubel knew he was going to get that fastball.
And Dunn, even though he throws hard, is a pretty straight fastball.
One, 2 is in, and it's 2-2. So the book on Josh Johnson is shut. Five earned runs in 5 1/3 innings. 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. Dunn is responsible for 1 of the runs this inning, and of course for Kubel out at second base.
And Mike continuing our Nevada theme out of the Community College of Southern Nevada.
I believe that's the same place Harper played. 2-2.
And of course Mike an outfield at that time before he was drafted by the Yankees.
Well, now a bigger story emerges out of this game, and that's the fact that Wade Miley hasn't given up a hit, even though he's had to sit through some long innings while Johnson has struggled. This inning especially. Dunn is struggling.
But it gives us an opportunity, Rich, to tell you that our crack staff has really uncovered something remarkable. That the Niners should have swung 3-0 more often. Because on 3-0 counts, Niner, you were 7 for 19 with 3 home runs.
Oh. 7 for 19 with 3 homers.
He just
really?
He just remembers the offers.
I guess so. I remember that coach in my head saying, "You better not make an out, 3-0."
You remember that 1-3-0 pop-up that you hit?
Yeah. I do remember a 3-0 home run off John Smoltz. That always stuck in my head.
What uniform were you wearing?
Marlins uniform.
And then a lot of pitchers, boy, will they get upset if you go deep 3-0. You know, they're figuring, well, he's going to take a pitch.
Ball and a strike. Mike Dunn to the plate. 1-2 on Cody Ransom. The Marlins snapped out of it with single runs last night in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Fish had 10 hits total. I think everyone left the ballpark feeling like the drought was over. And here they come out this afternoon and are getting blanked 6-0 and don't have a hit through their 5 at bats.
Well, it's as frustrating as the 6-game streak and the lack of scoring, because you win in the fashion that you saw the Marlins win last night, knowing that you're coming here today with a guy who should be your ace and throwing well, coming off a good start against the Mets. You're going up against a lefty who's making just his 2nd start this year, and all of a sudden you look up the scoreboard and it's 6-zip.
And the Marlins, yes, they did break their streak of 2 runs or less for 6 consecutive games, but only by 1. They only scored 3 runs last night.
Yeah, it wasn't like they put up a bunch of crooked numbers.
JJ threw 102 pitches. Mike Dunn has thrown 24 pitches, only 9 of them strikes. Runners on the move. Ransom cranks one left center field. That ball is on a hop off the wall. It's going to chase home 2 more runs. Kubel and Montero score. 8-0 Arizona. And the natives obviously restless here in Miami.
Now, these guys are big league hitters, and when you get the 3-ball counts and you tell them you have to throw a fastball, they know they're going to get a fastball. And that's why Kubel and Ransom have hit shots on 3-ball count fastballs. 1 a 3-0, 1 a 3-2.
Ozzie Guillen out to just try to nurse Mike Dunn through this. 8 runs on 12 hits now. He's got Overbay coming up. Dunn has given up a pair of 2-run doubles.
Like you said, Tommy, when you've got a guy out there that's struggling with his command and you get to a 3-ball count, you know you're going to get a fastball, and he's not being able to locate that fastball off the white part of the plate. It's center cut down the middle, and guys are really teeing off on it.
You wonder what Wade Miley's been doing for the last half an hour, because that's how long this half inning has gone on. Now Miley had a bit part in it, a little sacrifice, but things really slowed to a crawl since then. And there's a young guy in his 2nd start of the season, his 9th big league start, and he's not given up a hit through 5 innings. Dunn strikes out Overbay. Marlins are down in this ball game 8-0. Wade Miley, the 25-year-old lefty out of southeastern Louisiana, in control. If you're coming to Marlins Park this season, you can see the Marlins in action and secure your seats through a variety of season ticket and mini plan options. Save money off the box office prices. Enjoy all the benefits of being a Marlins season ticket holder. Pick up your plan today, 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com. Well, Miley has been outstanding, to say the least. John Buck, Austin Kearns, and Emilio Bonifacio in the 6th.
So far, the rest hasn't affected him. Here's a guy a couple of years ago was their minor league pitcher of the year, just pitching an A ball and Double-A.
His career numbers in the minor leagues, a nice ERA of 3.69 and a 24-21 record. Diamondbacks minor league player of the year in 2010. Certainly with Daniel Hudson out, they're looking for help in their rotation. Ian Kennedy last night didn't have his best stuff, but boy, he was effective despite that. Kennedy with a record right now at 3-0. Joe Saunders is off to a very nice start. Another lefty. John Buck rips one to left field. That's the first base hit for the Fish. Buck headed for second, and he's in there with a hustling double.
And finally, the crowd gets a little something to cheer about.
Good hustle on that. He knew double, or was thinking double right from the box. Never let up at all around first base. Kuba, the nice relay throw into second base.
And we'll see how Miley reacts now because of the double switch. You've got Austin Kearns in the 9 spot. Kearns first at bat. There's a strike. I've seen a lot of teams really starting to shift their infield. Look how far Overpay is off of first base.
He's playing a shallow second right now.
Joe Madden, of course, maybe the most aggressive with that.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on who the first baseman is. It has to be a guy who's athletic enough to get to the bag on a ground ball to one of the other infielders.
Ron Renicky in Milwaukee's been doing it.
I think Matt did it with Carlos Pena, who's a pretty good first baseman, and he's back there now.
And as a former first baseman, that's a long ways to go. So
yes,
in your mind, anything to my right, he's probably not going to go for it because he thinks he's got to get to the bag so quickly. And the infielder's got to know that they got to give him a little time to get there because on a hard hit ball, he's not going to be at first base yet.
And the interesting part about that shift is that Aaron Hill isn't playing behind the bag at second. He's not that far off his normal second base spot. Overbay has to get over to first, and he does. On a nice play by Ransom. Kearns is out.
Overbay's a good first baseman, so that's why he can get away with that.
Our cold, hard fact. It's brought to you by Frostbrewed Coors Light. All-time series with Miami, 58-45. Arizona's on top and has won 7 of the last 10 here in South Florida.
Yeah, the Marlins were just 2-5 against the Diamondbacks last year.
Bonifacio. He has punched out twice. Miley has kept Bonifacio and Reyes off the bases.
This is only Miley's 9th career start. Came up last year. You pointed that out, Rich. Made a few starts. And just his second start this year.
You know, Tommy and Jeff, I think the difference last year for Miley in his 7 starts, as opposed to a lot of young pitchers that come up at the end of the year, is Miley's starts came in the heat of a pennant race, and he made 7 starts. He won 4 of those. And so that probably gave the Diamondbacks a little better snapshot of what to expect this year.
That'll tell a lot about a pitcher's makeup in a hurry when you are a young pitcher coming into a critical time of the season like a postseason race and have success. I mean, you mature really quickly in those kind of situations. And it gives him a lot of confidence as well.
He's just 80 pitches in. And Bonifacio a swing and a miss. Coors Light freeze can time. Shall we freeze? That's right. Remember the Stanton blast that was just off the end of the bat, and the Coors Light freeze cam shows you it was. Reyes, and that ball is out of play. A left-handed Hanley making that play.
Reyes trying to work on staying through the hitting zone a little longer. That'll keep you from pulling off pitches.
Little dribbler up the line. Miley has it, and a nice spin and throw gets the out. Impressive stuff from a 25-year-old Wade Miley.
The last MC 1213. The last MC 1213. Okay. The last MC 1213. The last MC 1213.
All the scoring and just about all the hitting done by the Diamondbacks in this one. 7th inning, 8-0. Arizona on top. Chad Godin Donnie Murphy both coming into the ball game.
Yeah, second double switch for Ozzie. Godin will hit Reyes' spot. It's always kind of a thankless job for a pitcher in the spot of a Chad Godin. He usually comes into a game just to try to hold it together, or a blowout game, and that's his job. Doesn't get a lot of fanfare. Hard to take those stats to arbitration.
But every team needs
one.
Everyone needs a Chad Godin or a Burke Badenhop.
They've done a very nice job so far this year. Yet to give up an earned run.
See that Diamondbacks box score flashing by. Everybody seemingly with damage in the lineup. Even in the 8 spot, Aaron Hill is lined out.
Everybody in the lineup with at least one hit.
Yeah, also has a base hit. You're right, because
even Miley
got a single back in the 3rd. Tomorrow, and it is tomorrow, it's not tomorrow night, Patrick Corbin makes his major league debut. Another lefty, and the Marlins have scuffled against left-handed pitching this year. Hanley's going to be a long throw. Morrison scoops. And safe at first is Aaron Hill. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Hey, thank you very much, Rich. As you know, it's Hurricanes weekend here, and there's a great display for the Orange Bowl between third base and left field here. And here it is. They've got all kinds of artifacts, pictures of the first game played here in 1938. Lots of football memories from the Orange Bowl Classic, 61-game program, the Don Shula's teams, the perfect season. Dolphins played here for 21 years, but baseball too. You may not recall, Satchel Paige for the Miami Marlins pitched here in front of 50,000 people at the Orange Bowl Stadium, which originally was called Burdine Stadium and was renamed for the 1959 Orange Bowl. But it's a great display. Again, you can catch it up on the promenade level between third base and left field.
All right, good stuff. There's a lot to explore and see in Marlins Park. We can actually see downtown now through the windows in left field. That was not the case when the game started. All you saw was gray and drizzle and clouds. The visibility was certainly not what it is right now. Well, nice and dry in here. It's interesting, and I've been in a city where they've built a retractable roof in Seattle. I've seen it built in Milwaukee. Bouncer out towards second, and Fonte to Murphy, and he turns the double play. And the first time it really rains hard with the retractable roofs, there are generally some spots where water gets through because you don't really have a chance to test that out unless it absolutely dumps on you and you have the roof closed, and you get up there and you fix the spots. I really haven't seen any spots where the water was coming through. I can remember a couple games in Milwaukee where there was just like this one spot where water was pouring down on the field when they first opened Miller Park. None of that here today.
I remember the game at what was then called Sky Dome when a storm came in soon and they had to close it in the process of the game. And it started to rain, and as the roof got closed and closed, it almost looked like a waterfall coming down at home plate before they finally got it closed.
Godin working to Willie Bloomquist. Out towards Murphy, picks it and throws it, and Chad Godin has a very brief 7th inning. 8-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Let's check in with Jeff Conine. Niner, what you up to now?
Well, over here in Conine's corner, I was just seeing the double play that Omar Infante just turned, and the way he turns double plays is very reminiscent of a recent Hall of Famer. I know Tommy probably looked at him, is Roberto Alomar, and you see the way he can come up, you see how far he is distance-wise from second base. He will flip it backhand and make a perfect feed to Donnie Murphy, who then turns the double play. Normally, kids, you'd like to get your feet in front of you or the ball in front of you and kind of flip turn and turn it this way. But Omar Infante has practiced this very hard. He practices it all the time during batting practice. He will flip it with his hand backwards like this. It's much quicker, but much more difficult to get on line. So key to this is to keep your arm, this part of your arm, high. You'll see how it gets up high there, and he just flips it with his backhand, and a perfect feed to Donnie Murphy. A tough feed to do, but when you can do it correctly, a much quicker feed to the shortstop, and thus you're going to turn a lot more double plays.
Nicely done.
Yeah, that's a good point, and Niner's right. I got to see up close day in and day out Roberto Alomar in some early years with the Blue Jays, of course the Hall of Famer, and did that perfectly. It's probably something you're not going to teach to young kids, but as young infielders advance, it's something they'll try to incorporate and learn, because as Niner said, it's not easy and it's a difficult flip.
Young Wade Miley has been really impressive in just his second start this year. He was impressive in his first start this year. Miley in his first start went 6 innings, gave up just 2 hits and no runs, struck out a career-high 7 to the Phillies. And here he is now with 6 strikeouts, a walk. He's given up 1 hit to the Marlins, and that came last inning. John Buck doubled to open up the 6th. Hanley has popped out and reached on an error.
So he handcuffed the Phillies, and he's handcuffed the Marlins.
Three 3-0 to Hanley. Miley's pitch count right now at 89. Diamondbacks bullpen has been a very sedate place today. No sense of urgency. Hanley pulls that one foul. Arizona knocked Josh Johnson around. 10 hits, 5 runs, all earned. JJ struck out 8. Mike Dunn giving up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Logan Morrison, Omar Infante to follow in the 7th. Hanley takes up and in, and he's aboard. Here comes Morrison now.
A little tougher to get out of way when you have that leg kick.
Yeah, when your front foot's not getting down to that ball's getting close to you, boy, it's very difficult to get out of the way of that up and in pitch. Seen a little bit more of the Logan Morrison of when he first got called up. He was a very patient hitter. Saw a lot of pitches per at bat. I think he's gone back to that. Seen a lot of pitches per at bat, picking out his select pitches to hit hard, and his average, 288's gone down a little bit, but respectable 350 on base percentage. So he's walking a little bit as well. What is it about left-handers that
is giving the Marlins problems right now, guys. Because on paper you wouldn't think that the Marlins would be susceptible, and it's not like the lefties are guys who are household shut them down lefty names. I mean, no disrespect to Wade Miley. Joe Saunders has been a solid guy.
Ross Detweiler.
Detweiler's a good young starter, but he's still establishing himself. Now, Johan Santana was dynamite against JJ.
And by the way, Santana finally got some run support today. He'd gone 4 starts. He'd not gotten any support.
Overbay bobbles, kicks it, and safe at first. A couple base runners here, nobody out in the 7th.
You don't see that too often. Lyle Overbay, very sure-handed first baseman, wanted to get the out at second. By the time he bobbled and recovered, he didn't have a chance to get the out at first.
It'll be an E3.
And that look kind of describes it.
Yeah, the Mets have 3 runs in the first inning against Jamie Moyer.
To your question, Rich, I guess my answer would be left-handers are going to run pitches into righties. They're going to fade changeups away. And righties are so geared to face right-handed pitching. They're used to pitches, sliders going away, and not as much stuff inside. So a lefty who throws good stuff inside is going to have success against a lot of teams.
If this score holds, the Marlins will be 2-5 against left-handed starters.
I think a lot of it has to do with patience at the plate. Our Marlins hitters have not been very patient this year, and lefties will test that patience, especially like you said with the changeups away.
That ball smoked and then thrown into right field. Hanley is on his way around third, and he'll be held there. That had all the looks of a line drive double play. Bloomquist throw to Hill. I don't know if Hill got tangled up with Hanley coming back to second or not. But Infante absolutely scorches this ball.
Boy, another hard hit ball. Bloomquist thinking to double off Hanley. I think Hanley got back. He just did not make a good throw. May have blocked out the second baseman Hill a little bit. A little sloppiness in this inning from the Diamondbacks, who've been playing pretty good defense.
Made a few spectacular plays in that game last night. Bloomquist up the middle made a great play. Saw Parr make a great play out in center field.
Kirk Gibson is going to come take the ball from Miley, who leaves after a very nice outing. It's 8-0 Arizona. Trouble the Marlins have had with lefties. Josh Colementor, a big right-hander, was scheduled to go tomorrow, but a couple of days ago, the Diamondbacks decided to move him out and bring in a lefty, Patrick Corbin. And here's Kevin Towers, their general manager, talking about the decision.
He performed very well in spring training. He's been in pro ball maybe a little bit longer than some of the others. And as we've looked at the National League, most clubs have been struggling with left-handed pitching. Just felt he was the right guy. And it's not to say that some of those other guys at some point in time make it an opportunity as well. But those are good decisions. Tough decisions, but good decisions when you got several options that you could go to. And we felt Patrick was the right guy for the start on Monday.
So it's Corbin who makes the start. It's his major league debut. Corbin is only 22, out of Syracuse.
Now Kevin Towers, 15 years, the general manager of the San Diego Padres.
Stanton, a drive, diving stop there. Ransom's throw over Bay makes the pick. Stanton will get an RBI. Hanley scores.
What a great play on both ends of this hit by Stanton. Ransom makes an outstanding diving stop, gets up good strong throw, and maybe even better is that pick by Overbay. Boy, that's right there on the corner of the grass and the dirt. That's that one. If it hits the grass, it's going to really check up. If it hits the dirt, it's going to skid.
And especially picking it after he'd made an error in the inning. I think Stanton swung the bat pretty well today, a little better than we've seen.
Morrison is now at third. Ziegler delivers to Murphy, who takes outside. Donnie Murphy's first at bat of the ball game.
Yeah, you'd like to hope that Giancarlo can carry over what he did today. Hit that ball, just missed it on the end of the bat. Hit that ball well to third. Now you want to see him carry that over from game to game.
You got to be happy with those little steps in your game. You hit the ball hard one game, you can't get too greedy and say, all right, now get frustrated because you hit the ball hard but don't have anything to show for it. Stick with your plan. The hits will come, the home runs will come.
Two 2-1. That's a strike. Ziegler certainly presents a very different look than you're used to seeing out of a starter or a reliever. He's even further down than Steve Cishek.
I think guys who have a little funk to their delivery, they throw strikes, they can last a long time.
It's all about picking up a release point, and when you've got a release point that's way out to the side like that and down, that's something that major league hitters just aren't used to seeing.
And there's no way to simulate that. It's not like you can have the guy throwing batting practice. Hey, can you drop down?
Look, because he couldn't throw over the screen. Batting practice.
Had to throw around the screen, yeah.
Well, here's Buck, and the Marlins have one hit, a solitary base hit, and it was Buck's double in the 6th inning that spoiled Wade Miley's bid for a no-hitter. Buck pulled it down the left field line. It was a clean hit. Ziegler misses in. It's 1-0. 8-1 ball game. Marlins have a run without a hit in this inning. A walk to Hanley. See Murphy over at first. Morrison reached on an error. Runners moved up on a throwing error by Willie Bloomquist. That's a strike.
Thinking about guys, Rich, he had a tremendous career as a closer. The late Dan Quisenberry threw from that angle.
good velocity. So a starting pitcher that had this release point, that had some sustained success in the big leagues? Line shot.
Not that I can remember.
Right at Aaron Hill. 8-1 Arizona.
The Diamondbacks got the singles out of the way. All the hits that J.J. allowed were singles except for one, a Lyle Overbay double, a couple of doubles off Mike Dunn, and that really kind of solidified the deal. Big lead for Arizona, and they've just turned it over to a guy that probably most haven't heard of, Wade Miley, but Wade Miley has been outstanding. He's out of the game now, but the Diamondbacks with an 8-1 lead.
I think you might be hearing more from Wade Miley. I mean, we talked about the way he's deceptive. His delivery is a little bit unorthodox, the way he throws across his body. And it's all about throwing strikes. He threw a lot of strikes today.
Chad Godin is into his second inning in relief. And Gerardo Parra has a couple of hits, has walked, has bounced out. He's had a busy series both out in center field and at the plate. The National League West, of course, the surprise team atop the East has got to be the Washington Nationals, and they're off to such a great start, 14-7. They lost last night, though news accounts of the game were filled with Bryce Harper headlines. But Matt Kemp walked off with a home run, and the Dodgers beat the Nationals late in the night in Los Angeles. The Dodgers 15-6. The Giants have climbed a game over 500 at 11-10. They beat the Padres last night. San Diego resides in the basement at 7-15.
Good matchup in Los Angeles later on. Gio Gonzalez against Chris Capuano.
The Marlins lose this ball game, and they're headed in that direction, down 8-1 in the 8th. They will fall to 8-13.
Not quite the start that the Marlins were hoping for.
As Tommy pointed out, after tomorrow's game, it's not real easy going in San Francisco.
Got two tough hitters, Parks, AT&T, and then Petco in San Diego.
Two traditionally very good pitching staffs in the Giants and the Padres.
Marlins will get Matt Cain right out of the chute. They will not see Tim Lincecum.
Lincecum actually pitched well, very well last night. 8 innings, gave up 3 hits and a run in their 2-1 win against the Padres.
The Marlins will see a rejuvenated Barry Zito, whose ERA is a slender 1.67. That's a Carlos Zambrano Barry Zito start on Wednesday night.
Another soft tossing left-hander. Hey, we have to get our crack staff working, and they'll have time. They'll have about 5.5 hours on the flight to San Francisco to see how many matchups in Major League history have been against pitchers whose last name starts with Z. We get Zito and Zambrano.
Well, didn't Carlos Zambrano have a brother that was in the big leagues briefly? Was it Victor Zambrano? Did Carlos have a brother?
I don't think they were related, but there was a Victor Zambrano.
There was a Victor Zambrano. I do not think they were related.
Yeah, and the Mets used to have and the Reds had a Pat Zachary years ago. But you have to match them up with another Z. That's not that easy. Crack staff may have to work on this one for a while.
Brad Ziegler is a reliever. To right, Stanton makes the catch. Upton lining out. Take a look at our Nissan leaders of the game. Double plays started. Omar Infante. Dan Uggla second on that list. Now Kubel, who has reverted back to his Game 1 form in his last 2 at-bats. He was 4 for 4 in Game 1, 0 for 4 last night, 0 for his first 2. But drove in a run with a single in the 5th and drove in 2 more with a double in the 6th.
Yeah, the 0 for last night broke a 10-game hitting streak that he had.
Liner into left field. And that's a base hit. Jason Kubel with the hit.
When you're hot, you're hot.
Well, Victor Zambrano made 100 starts in the big leagues. It's not like our crack staff has anything to do right now, Tommy. Right?
No, I don't expect the answer right now. We're still good until we get to San Francisco.
Until that Zito Zambrano matchup?
Yes. See why this Arizona team is going to hang in there and maybe win. A lot of people picked the Diamondbacks to win the West. You see why they played so well last year. Diamondbacks last year won 94 games. They keep coming after you.
They won 94 games. The season previous to that, they won 65 games. So from worst to first.
I think a lot of that comes from the top with Kirk Gibson at the helm. That was the kind of player he was. Scrappy, gritty, aggressive. You see that in this Arizona Diamondbacks team. Great defense. They're going to get good pitching. Chris Young is out. Will be back.
Daniel Hudson is out.
Stephen Drew.
Not sure about Drew's timetable for return. Had a bad ankle fracture with a slide at home. Morrison getting a taste of first base. He's a natural first baseman, and he picks that up. So Montero bounces out, and here is Ransom.
Certain teams that have gotten off to poor starts, and you can look at them, and yeah, the Marlins slow start, but the Red Sox all of a sudden have won 6 in a row. They put it back together a little bit. Got a great outing from John Lester last night.
Then you put this start at the beginning of the season like this, and it's much more glaring in the standings. You put this kind of stretch in the middle of the season, and the Marlins might go through a rough, they're struggling a little bit, but it doesn't really make that much difference. So I think when they get it rolling and firing all cylinders, we'll forget all about this month of April.
Well, yeah, it's just like individual numbers. You get off to a poor start, you can kind of hide it in June or July, but the same thing with the team. Yeah.
Oh, one pitch to Ransom, misses inside. I'm sorry. I'm just distracted and intrigued by Tommy's question about the Z matchups.
I have you thinking, don't I?
Well, it's possible we may see it later in the year when Carlos Zambrano and Jordan Zimmerman meet.
That's possible.
There's Big Z throwing the ball very well so far. I think he's been a pleasant surprise.
Yes, he has. He's done a good job.
Not only on the field, but in the clubhouse as well.
You could have a matchup of relievers, Clay Zavada and Brad Ziegler.
Now, the relievers don't count. I'm trying to make it easy on you.
You're stretching it now.
Swing and a miss. Ransom goes down. Did you ever face Jeff Zahn? Top of the Marlins. Now Jeff Conine has joined us in the booth, but Tommy's got to go out to that center field.
Yeah, he'll be walking through the Clevelander.
I don't think he'll go that quickly through the Clevelander.
No, then he'll go up the stairs by the flag, come around the other side, and meet Craig up in there.
Wow. That is very impressive right there.
Wave to us from the Clevelander.
Well, I mean, you can't really. I'm going to go through there so quickly I won't have time to wave, but I will wave in you at you when I'm on the steps.
Come on.
You know what I just thought
see
of?
you up there dancing.
You know what I just thought of? Somebody that has the game on without the sound, or monitors that are on around here. They're looking at that telestration and they're going, "What in the world are they talking about?"
Yeah.
Well, I think Tommy.
There's no explanation for that one. Have a good rest of the game, guys.
All right. Have a good trip.
Don't lollygag. Craig Breslow will come in for the Diamondbacks. Austin Kearns, his second at bat. And he takes down low. Kearns, Emilio Bonifacio, and then the pitcher spot for the pitch in the bottom of the 8th on an extremely frustrating afternoon. Popped him up. Montero runs out of room. And the count is 1-1. 12:40 start tomorrow. Kearns blasts one to left. Kubel makes the catch. We really haven't seen any outfielders or infielders, for that matter, Tommy, lose balls in the ceiling.
No, I think it's dark enough. There's enough of a contrast that you can pick up the white baseball. Yeah, I don't think we've seen any outfielders have problems with the roof or with the lights, which always used to be a problem at Sun Life.
Bonifacio.
Tough game for Bonnie today. 3 ABs, 3 strikeouts. Breslow last few years with the Oakland A's.
The Diamondbacks have a couple of former Athletics in their pen with Breslow and Ziegler. Bonifacio hitting right-handed here. You pointed out the strikeouts. 13 strikeouts from this side of the plate for Bonifacio. And those 13 strikeouts have come in just 26 at bats. Other side of the plate, 54 at bats and 9 strikeouts.
A little more of a contact hitter on the left side. Swings a little more wildly from the right side.
Drives that ball to right center field. Hara can go get him. And that's exactly what he does. 2 fly ball outs from Craig Breslow. Chris Coughlin's going to get an AB. Follow the Marlins or your favorite team with the MLB.com At-Bat 12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text At-Bat to 31826 or visit Marlins.com for details.
Another nice job from Chad Godin. A couple of innings. Gave up 2 hits, no runs, and keeps his ERA at 0.00.
Chris Coughlin trying to find a groove at the plate. And that's been tough to do. He hasn't had a consistent playing time or at bats. He has been the Marlins kind of the 4th outfielder. He and Austin Kearns have been getting starts in ball games in which Giancarlo Stanton or Logan Morrison need an off day, or even when Emilio Bonifacio came in and played second base. 2-2. Upton calling. Upton catching. And on to the ninth we go. 8-1 Diamondbacks. Hit in this ball game. Marlins Live is coming up, brought to you by Checkers. I see Jeff Conine has yet to arrive out there. He must be taking his time on his way out to his center field location.
Look at Craig meeting and greeting everyone that walks by.
There he is. Where's Conine?
Hi, Craig.
He apparently has been delayed getting through the Clevelander.
Well, it's tough right now because I think it's happy hour.
I got news for you. It's always happy hour out there. Here now is Mujica, and he will pitch the ninth. Marlins tomorrow against the Diamondbacks, 12:40.
Well, the Marlins are going to have to turn things around to square up the series. They've been out-hit by the Diamondbacks in this series, 32-14.
Lyle Overbay.
And 10 of those hits for the Marlins were last night, Saturday's game.
Aaron Hill will follow, and then the pitcher spot.
First time for Mujica since he took that ball off the finger.
Now that's not Conine. Come on. I'm not even going to guess. Here's the 1-2. Inside corner. Overbay called out on strikes. You know, it'll be interesting to see that this is it's got to be a group, either a costume or a wig thing, or just an interesting bunch. It'll be interesting to see.
Look at the sailors, the military. They're trying to get as far away as they can from that group.
If the Marlins continue to play games like this and are not close at the end on either side, whether they're trailing by a bunch or whether they're up by a bunch, if Heath Bell gets some work, little looper, and Morrison is there to get it.
these guys are trying to slide as far away as they can from that group. Oh, and there's Niner.
He made it.
We spotted him. There he is.
It only took him, what, 15 minutes?
He has access. He has an all-access pass.
He just has to flash his Hitters Guild lifetime membership card.
Yeah, we just need to take the wireless, and he could probably call the game from the Clevelander. Very comfortable there.
That would be an interesting call.
We should do. I wonder if we could do our pregame.
Well, we're hoping,
postgame
Craig, to do the which I think is in August, the annual auction telecast.
Perfect.
The Marlins
perfect
Foundation.
location.
Do it from the Clevelander. Yeah.
Good luck on your focus, gentlemen.
That's why it's the fantasy auction. 1-1 with 2 outs. But I mean, back to the thought. It was 7 days before Heath Bell had worked his last time out, so you wonder if the Marlins are going to get him out there and try to iron out some of his issues before his next save opportunity. 8-1. The nation's largest 4G network, AT&T, rethink possible. By Checkers, feast on. And by Lexus of Pembroke Pines. Find your best price, service, selection at LexusofPembrokePines.com. Rainy day in Miami. Roof closed for sure. But the bats are still quiet.
And to carry on the Z letter, Mike Zagurski comes in. So it's ironic, and we've been talking about the struggles of the Marlins against left-handers. So what does Kirk Gibson do? He brings Breslow in after Ziegler, and now Mike Zagurski.
Well, Wade Miley, the lefty, started, and he was outstanding. 6 1/3 innings. He gave up the only hit the Marlins have. He walked 2 and struck out 6. Ziegler 2/3 of an inning. He walked 1. Breslow a scoreless inning.
Zagurski last year spent most of the year in Lehigh Valley, Phillies organization. 4 games with Philadelphia.
And Hanley goes after the first pitch and pops it up.
Just he's gotten back to where he didn't want to be after that great swing last night. To just let a guy who's not overpowering get in on him with a pitch and another pop fly with a long swing.
So Zagurski now gets Logan Morrison. Strike at the knees to Morrison. Zagurski lives in Clearwater, Florida. University of Kansas. High school in Nebraska. We've seen Zagurski in a Phillies uniform. Goes 2-1. Morrison reached on there, has popped out, bounced out, pulls a ground ball foul. Now the crack staff was challenged to come up with two Z's who have started against each other in the big leagues.
I've got an interesting scenario. Zambrano and Zito pitched the second game Wednesday, but during the Ricky Nolasco Matt Cain matchup on Tuesday, which is Email Tuesday and Twitter Tuesday, maybe we can come up with that answer and give you the answer on Tuesday.
I've just been told that the answer has been arrived at and will be revealed on that Tuesday night.
That'd be good.
The late night with the Fish.
So it'll be our first late night with the Fish Email Twitter Tuesday.
Smacked into right field, a solid hit from Morrison. Just the second hit for the Marlins all day, and it comes with one out here in the bottom of the ninth.
And I haven't, Rich, I just want to make sure you know this. I haven't packed away the leather jacket because I looked at the temperatures in San Francisco. It'll be a little chilly in the evening.
Tommy, I've got to be honest with you. We've received a ton of emails and tweets. There's a lot of people that like seeing you in leather. Infante, left field, deep. And that's off the top of the wall. Morrison will stop at third. And Infante just keeps clobbering the ball. I mean, he's done it from day one.
I remember last time up, he lined out to short, absolutely crushed that ball. Infante now with 6 doubles, 2 triples, and 5 home runs on the year.
And that is a home run in a lot of parts.
So you add up the slugging and on base, and his OPS is over 1,000.
Giancarlo Stanton now with Zagurski trying to mop up, so to speak, in the ninth. The Reds beat the Astros 6-5. Cincinnati at 11-11. The Astros at 8-14. Cubs finished off the Phillies. Phillies are 10-12. 5-1 the final there. A strike to Stanton. Mets have a 3-0 lead in Colorado. And that's going to the 4th inning. Padres and Giants just underway. Nationals, Dodgers just underway. Braves are leading the Pirates 4-2. Bottom 7. Here it has been a frustrating day. Wade Miley making just his 2nd start of the season, his 9th career start. No hit the Fish through 5. Gave up a double to John Buck to lead off the 6th, and that was it for him. 6 1/3. Marlins trying to get a few more runs. That ball to center field is hit deep. Back goes Parra at the track. It's gone. Giancarlo Stanton, his first of the season.
You started looking at his at-bats today. The one he just missed off the end of the bat in the 5th inning. The sharply hit RBI ground out in the 7th. And you could see him getting close.
And now his first home run of the year, closing in on 100 at-bats, going back to last year, and a 4 RBI day for Giancarlo. Fastball out over the plate. And a long way.
So Stan's homer makes it 8-4. Diamondbacks going to make a pitching change. Down 8-1 going into the 9th. Giancarlo Stanton, a big boy home run out to center field. That brings Brian Shaw and his cut fastball out of the Diamondbacks bullpen.
Yeah, that's what guys will say. They said that was out in big man's territory.
Donnie Murphy digs in. John Buck is on deck. Shaw misses away. Marlin saw Shaw early in this series. Pitched 2/3 of an inning in relief of Kennedy. One. Shaw seems to be one of those guys that can't throw the ball straight. That cutter just dives and darts.
He just comes in and fires that pitch. Wastes too much time.
Murphy a ground ball. Ransom at third across the diamond in time. It sounds easy, doesn't it, that if you can master one pitch, you could pitch in the big leagues? Mariano Rivera has done it with the cutter. A variety of guys have done it with the knuckleball, but it just isn't that easy because there are a ton of guys that have tried to do it and reinvent themselves with those two pitches in the minor leagues.
If it was that easy, there'd be a lot of guys in the minor leagues just throwing cutters and saying, I'm going to be the next Mariano Rivera.
John Buck now.
John Buck has swung the bat better today, too.
Now, is that the Clevelander?
Yeah, those guys are in the seats there. I think that's a guy.
Not quite sure after he lifts his mask. Or, yeah, I would guess so. You can see a few umbrellas still outside on a very rainy day. It certainly was pouring all morning.
Thanks for reminding me, or I would have left my umbrella in the booth.
Buck takes outside. That counts 3-0. 8-4 Arizona. The Diamondbacks knocking Josh Johnson around, and Wade Miley overpowering in his second start of the year, giving up just the hit. That was the Buck double in the 6th. Tell you one thing, Jim Joyce is still going strong behind home plate.
Yeah, he's been out there over 3 hours.
And Buck walks. Austin Kearns comes up. Kearns came in a double switch, and he is 0 for 2. It's one of the things you really would be disappointed in if you came to the ballpark and Jim Joyce had a sore throat.
I don't think they let him work the plate if he has a sore throat. By the way, Mike DeMuro has some back issues, sore back, so he missed yesterday and today. He probably missed tomorrow's game. Mike Estabrook's at second base.
Brian Shaw with Buck at first. Kearns back to the mound, and the Diamondbacks finish off the Marlins in front of 34,000 here in Miami. Shaw getting a lot of help. What a day for Wade Miley. Miley is now 3-0, and offensively, I mean, take your pick. Jason Kubel drives in 3. Cody Ransom drives in a couple. Gerardo Parra had big hits in this one. Everybody in the lineup for the Diamondbacks with a base hit. And an 8-4